Welcome, everybody, to the Huddle, KGUT9 streaming sports talk show. We come to you every week at this time. I'm Jason Barr, joined by Pat Paris. Pat, good afternoon. How are you?
Doing pretty well, Jason. We got a lot going on all of a sudden, seems like.
Well, it's this time of year. It's certainly
Yeah.
the busiest time of year in Tucson. We got the overlap with the different sports. And I think, though, we'll start with football and Arizona football and a 31-24 loss to Washington. Pat, in year three, close doesn't count anymore. You know, we heard the post-game news conference with Jed Fish, and it sounded like they tied. They didn't tie. He said, well, we had 27 first downs. They had 27 first
Yeah.
downs.
Yeah.
It came down to the last possession, which it kind of really didn't, as you
Yeah.
said, to me in the newsroom this week. But, you know, there were Washington is where they want to be, and they're not nearly as far away as they used to be. But this is not a moral victory anymore, because the moral victories aren't going to get you to 6 wins in a bowl game.
No, that's exactly right. And I understand why he talks to his team that way, but and you want to make sure that they understand that Arizona football did some nice things against Washington on Saturday night. Unfortunately, they fell behind 14-0. Had to go for it on fourth down just to get that first touchdown to cut it to 14-7, or otherwise it might have been 21-0. But from that point on, of course, they played well and they played pretty evenly. But they basically were down 7-14, 7-14 the rest of the way, and they made it interesting a little bit. But I don't think Washington was ever sweating this one. And I think from an Arizona standpoint, you say they're improving, but is it enough? And it has to translate into wins, to your point, Jason. And I think we're both kind of, as each week goes by, we're kind of like, you started at 7 wins, I started at 6. We both don't feel real good about either one of those, and we don't feel real good right now about them getting to a bowl game unless they win a game or two that we don't expect them to win.
No, and I think that can happen. I think this 2-game stretch here against Washington and then USC, they're going to have a tough time this week, can help them when they play teams that aren't quite at that level. When they go to and play the Oregon States and the UCLAs and the Washington States and the Colorado, and there's where they can sneak out the 2 wins and then beat ASU and get to 6. And that's a successful season if you continue to recruit, at the way they've been doing. I thought tremendous by Tedero and McMillan. Not only did he have the 2 touchdown grabs, but just making a difference even when he doesn't catch the ball, with the blocking, with the causing pass interference calls, how much of a gamer he is. When Jed Fish wanted him off the field and he waved him off, I loved that. And just really 2 mistakes by Fifita. One when he missed Cowing in the end zone, and then the one play I didn't see as I was going down the elevator from the press box to the field, which had to do with the shovel pass. So you'll have to tell me what happened there.
It's a guy trying to make a play. It's not unlike what you see a Patrick Mahomes try to make, and even Patrick Mahomes throws interceptions occasionally. Jason just saw the other night. I don't fault him for that. He'd never taken a snap, with the first team in a live game until end of the Stanford game and then this game. So I think those are mistakes you'll live with a guy who's basically a freshman. I mean, he's a redshirt freshman, but in a lot of senses, because he's never played before, you see a freshman mistake once in a while. But I think for the most part, Fifita was outstanding. To me, he and T-Mac, Tedero McMillan, that's just, you can see why they were so good in high school, and there's still a great connection in college. And how I feel. I feel like Fifita gives you the best chance to win, and I think that he should be the quarterback.
Well, he doesn't. He doesn't make as many mistakes, and he goes in and does what he's supposed to do, but he doesn't try to do too much, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Jaden Delora tries to do a little bit too much, and that's what gets him in trouble. I don't think, from a skill set point of view, there's much of a difference between the 2 quarterbacks. But Fifita goes in there and he is more decisive, and he doesn't screw up.
What's the old saying is more is lost through indecision than wrong decision. Jaden Delora's indecision magnified, right? And so that's when you have problems. I'd rather see you make a mistake because you are decisive and going for it and knowing what you want to do with the football, versus that indecision that ends up costing you even more in the long run. Noah Fifita is the perfect, snap it, first read, second read, it's out.
But the reason, Pat, that you keep Delora for now, the reason that you keep Delora as a starting quarterback is that this is too big of a change. This is not like you had a three-way battle going into the season. One guy, like 2 years ago, one guy barely beats out the other one. He's, struggling a little bit. You want to see what the other one can do. This is not that type of deal. Pat, Delora and Fish made a 3-year commitment to each other. They're just a year and change through that. This would be a major, major change with this football program to switch quarterbacks now, and possibly an irreversible decision. I don't think that you do that at this point. Now, if they lose the next 3 games, but because Delora is going crazy throwing interceptions, well, then you've got no choice and the decision is made for you. But in this particular case, I would let that decision be made for you, and I would go back to Jaden Delora.
Now, you're right about the 3-year commitment, and I don't think I do not expect that there's going to be a quarterback change. Don't get me wrong. I would make the quarterback change, but I'm not the head coach that made a promise to Jaden Delora.
And Fish has said he's coming back if he's healthy.
Yeah. It's interesting though that if Jaden Delora were, the lights out, top ranked, top flight quarterback like a Michael Penix Jr. or a Caleb Williams at USC, you would get him back on the field when he's almost healthy, right? When he can, protect himself, but you'd want to get him out there. Not unlike a Joe Burrow. He's out there and he's not healthy, but he's the best court. He's their starting court. It's interesting to me that Jaden Delora has to be 100% right. In other words, I think that Jed Fish knows that Noah Fafita is the same quarterback. They're not
if
losing
Delora
anything.
can't run, he can't be in there because it's just too much a part of his game, and it makes things too easy for the defense.
And that
be able to scramble.
I just think it's interesting, and it'll be interesting to see exactly what happens coming this weekend. I have much less faith in a Jaden Delora run offense week in and week out than I would if it was Noah Fafita. That's me. I'm just throwing that out there. That's
Fish used the term protect himself. He's got to be able to protect himself.
Yeah,
but I
get it.
He's got to be able to scramble.
I don't want him out there. I don't want him out there when he's hurt. I don't want him out. I want Noah Fafita out there. I think he gives you the best chance. Yeah, he's smaller, but for whatever reason, his vision is better. Neither guy is very tall, Jason. We keep mentioning that occasionally, but let's be honest, Jaden Delora can't see over that line all that well either. Not like a Michael Penix Jr. My goodness, that's an NFL quarterback there. And you see a Noah Fafita who has got a strong arm for his size, and he's small of stature, and he's quick, and he's elusive and all that kind of stuff. But somehow he sees over that line and finds receivers that Jaden Delora does not.
Yeah, I'm Jason Barr. This is Pat Paris. We are talking to you here on the Huddle, KGUN9 streaming sports talk show. We had Arizona basketball also with the Red-Blue game this past weekend. Pat, any thoughts on Red-Blue and anybody who may have stood out to you? KJ Lewis with a dunk. Wildcats got a commitment today from Emmanuel Stephen, a 4-star center.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that. That's a big deal. It's a big. I think now we're starting to see, well, not unlike what Tommy Lloyd was able to do with the transfer portal in this offseason. We're starting to see that now with these 4-star, 5-star recruits kind of consistently picking Arizona over some really big schools. And I just think that's where the program is. I think that the Wildcat basketball team is in really great shape right now. And I know Tommy Lloyd's been talking about, don't get too excited. I don't want to overemphasize how good this team could be, but I think he knows that this team could be good. This year's team could be good.
Yeah, a much deeper team than last year. All right, we're going to be joined now by our special guest this week. He is Tucson Roadrunners forward Mike Lombardi. Mike joins us here on the Huddle. The Roadrunners hit the ice for the first time today. The Coyotes, the parent team, has a preseason game this coming Saturday night at the Tucson Arena. The Roadrunners open their exhibition game is going to be Friday. Mike, Jason, and Pat here on the Huddle. How are you today?
I'm good, guys. Thanks for having me.
Sure thing. Okay, so you are in your first full season, but you actually joined the team last year just for kind of that stretch run, right off the high of winning the Frozen Four at Quinnipiac. First off, tell us what that experience was like to win the Frozen Four and be a national championship for the Bobcats.
Yeah, it was incredibly special. It was definitely there was a lot of work put into it, and obviously playing 5 years out of college is pretty unique, and getting to win that with guys who I spent that time with, it was unbelievably special.
How long did it take to kind of recover from not only that, but then having to get right into an AHL season and gear up right away for that? You must have been a tired hockey player by the time things ended up last season.
Yeah, it was definitely a whirlwind. There was a big celebration back in Connecticut after we won, so that was a long week. But once I got out here, everybody was great. I was ready to go, and then was lucky enough to get into a game there at the end of the year, and then just kind of learn from the team for the next couple weeks during playoffs. And there was definitely some much needed rest after that season wrapped up.
Well, you scored a goal in that game, that first game as a pro. What was that experience like to come on to an AHL arena and score a goal? Did that make you feel like you belonged and could play at this level of hockey, or were you just on such a high that you're not really thinking along those lines?
Yeah, it always gives you a little bit of confidence when you can help out on the score sheet. But I've always been pretty confident in my game and what I can bring to a team, and to have that type of validation there in my first pro game was really nice, and kind of led me into the summer with a lot more confidence.
Is that one of those things where you get that? I'm sure they gave you the puck after the game as your first professional goal. Is that one of those things that's kind of surreal that now I'm a professional, I'm getting paid to do this, and I've already got my first puck, the first goal?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I have a nice little collection with a lot of mementos along the way, and it was nice to add that to the collection. And yeah, it's definitely a little different. At the professional level. I mean, in college, you're so focused on, school and everything else. And to be able to get to pro and just kind of focus on hockey is nice. It's a nice little break from hitting the books. That's for sure.
What is the biggest difference, would you say, from college hockey to the American League on the ice, per se? Not so much off of it, but faster. The players bigger, faster, make fewer mistakes. What would you say the biggest difference is in the
Say a
game?
little bit of everything. In the professional level, obviously everyone is bigger and stronger and faster. It's, the best of the best from wherever they came from, whether it was college or junior or anything like that. So I think the game, college game is very good, and it's getting a lot better. And but the pro game is just it's superior in every level. There's less mistakes. Guys capitalize on more opportunities. They're bigger, faster, stronger. So there's some similarities, but it's definitely a different style of hockey.
Yeah. Michael Lombardi, the Roadrunners left wing, joining us here on the Huddle. I want to ask you about, you mentioned 5 years in college. You really came back right to Quinnipiac because you knew you'd have a shot at least at winning a national championship, and then you won that national championship. I'm wondering, how much better of a hockey player you might be right now because you did go back for that fifth year and went in a deep run and won a championship.
Yeah, definitely. There was a lot of guys in my class who wanted to go back because we had that extra year because we felt like we had a lot of unfinished business. We ended up losing to Michigan my senior year, and we felt like we should have won that game and went on to that Frozen Four. So it was a pretty easy decision to go back. And like you said, I feel like there was a big development piece there. I mean, obviously, you can only get so much from competition and everything like that during in college, but to be able to get those hours in the weight room and on the ice and everything like that, it was definitely very, very helpful for my development.
For the Roadrunners fans, and there's a good loyal following here who are going to go see you play at the Tucson Arena this year. How would you describe your game? Are you a gritty player, a sniper, a physical guy? Describe your game to the Roadrunners fans who are going to see you for a full season now.
Yeah, I would definitely say I'm a gritty player. I'm hardworking. I like to get in on the forecheck and try to contribute when I can on the score sheet. I'd like to say I'm a two-way player. I like to, help out at both ends, and hopefully the fan base appreciates that.
You're getting your first chance at a camp at the professional level. What's that been like, and what are the differences between that and what you ever went through in college?
Yeah, college is it's more of you gradually ramp it up. You start in late August, and you're just kind of working towards that first game. Whereas in pro, you get there and it's a lot thrown at you at once. So it's definitely been an adjustment, but I'm enjoying it quite a bit.
What do you think of playing with Mike Carcone? He's the Roadrunners' leading scorer. He's had a couple of fantastic seasons. I know a lot of us also kind of want to see him up with a parent club, but he's here for now. What's it been like with him? Has he befriended you at all? Have you learned anything from him? What's the interaction been like between you and Mike Carcone so far?
Yeah, I think we're definitely different players, but he was awesome to me last year when I came in. He's a really great guy, and to see him get that scoring title at the end of last year was something really impressive. So you see a guy like that, you want to, watch the little things that he does to end up on the score sheet so much and try to add some of that to your game. So, but definitely an awesome guy who's been very helpful to me.
Michael, what's the mentality for you? I mean, what do you tell yourself about, okay, I know I'm going to have to pay my dues here in the NHL, but obviously your ultimate goal is to play in the NHL. So what do you tell yourself, and what are the Coyotes organization, what are they telling you?
Just to take it day by day. I mean, you're not just going to jump to the highest level in one day. So there's a lot of work that needs to be put in, and, honing your craft. And, I mean, just being patient and, taking it day by day is something that I kind of take pride in, and really grinding it out and trying to better myself. So I don't think there's any fast tracking or plans like that. I think it needs to be done, the old fashioned way with hard work. And I'm really okay with that.
Are you aware at all? I don't mean to put you on the spot of a little Roadrunners history. I mean, we've had a couple players here who have gone on to some big things. Connor Garland, I don't know if you're familiar with him.
Yeah.
Certainly this past year, there was a lot of excitement with Adin Hill winning the Stanley Cup with the Golden Knights. Are you aware of those two guys? And do you look to guys like that as inspiration at all?
Yeah, I actually trained with Connor Garland in the summer, so I got to know him quite a bit. And he's been a great help for me, especially coming to Tucson and giving me a lot of pointers on how, I need to play to get to where I want to be. So it's actually funny that you mentioned him. He's been a big piece of
How do you know him?
We just skate in the same group in the summer back home in the Boston area.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of great players in that area. You must be, wanting to make your mark as one of those New England guys, I guess, Boston area.
Yeah, absolutely. There's like, I think there's 25 or 30 guys in that area who are all playing professionally. So just try to fit in with them.
Were you a Bruins fan growing up?
I was a huge Bruins fan growing up.
Did people get to talk your ear off with Hartford Whalers stories when you were at Quinnipiac at all?
Yeah, there's definitely some, but they thought that, they were going to get a team there back pretty soon, but I don't think
that's for Jason and I, that's not too long ago, but it's really ancient history for a guy. What are you, like 25, I think, something?
Yeah. So I don't really
remember
that time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The old whale.
Hey, Mike Lombardi, thanks for a couple of minutes here with the Huddle, on the Huddle here with Pat and myself. And we wish you lots of luck as the Roadrunners get going, and certainly the Coyotes with a preseason game at the Tucson Arena coming up, I believe, Saturday. And I believe you guys start, Friday in Vegas? Is that right? With the next
Friday
game?
in Vegas.
And then you start on the road in Texas, if I'm not mistaken. So,
yeah,
good luck. Good luck this season. We'll talk to you along the way. Thanks for a couple of minutes here.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right. Good luck, Michael. Thanks.
All right. Yeah, who knew? He was friends with. I was going to put him on the spot and say, who's the Roadrunners' all-time leading wins for goalies, and see if he came.
I bet he would know that. Yeah, I bet.
I didn't want just in case, but
just in case. But you never know.
Yeah. Anyway, so I was actually at Roadrunners practice this morning, Pat, and so we'll have a little story on him at 6:00. And
good.
And have that ahead of.
He's a good one. And Jason, those guys that win championships at lower levels, and let's take it for what it is. It's a big accomplishment, college hockey, but then you jump to the pros. But those guys that win those championships and are big parts of those championships, like Michael was, they generally start continue that winning way. And we're still waiting for this organization to kind of break out and have one of those years, and maybe by the time he gets up there, it'll be that time for the Arizona Coyotes.
Yeah, and look, you never know. I mean, I brought up Connor Garland partly because when he was here, he was an undersized player.
Yep.
And was here for a while. You just thought, maybe this guy's just going to be an AHL lifer, if you will. And he was kind of insulted by that. You could tell that when he's like, no, I'll be an NHL player. I'm like, okay, and sure enough, he gets the opportunity, he makes the most of it. Aiden Hill here a long
Aiden
time,
Hill, a
traded
long
away.
time. Yep.
Anything can happen. Really, anything can happen with these players, and some of them are drafted high, don't work out. Some of them aren't
That's right.
huge prospects, and go on.
It's
So,
not an exact drafting is not an exact science. That's for sure.
yeah, for sure. Okay, all right. So we'll be back next week and talk about Arizona football and
Jason, you
USC.
didn't bring up the biggest news of the week.
What's that?
The Tucson Sugar Skulls re-signing Carrington Thompson, a former guest on the Huddle.
Okay, very well. I'm glad he's back.
And I am too. So in all seriousness,
community and a heck of a wide receiver.
He's a terrific part of the Tucson community when he's in town for the Sugar Skull season. Yeah, we're lucky to have him back.
I thought you were going to say you didn't bring up something to do with Taylor Swift.
Oh, well, we didn't even. At least you got a mention in, right?
You know what? I was thinking, I think it would have been cooler if she was dating an F1 driver.
But that wouldn't have the impact here. Now, I'm a big F1 guy. I know John Perra, our chief photographer, a big Formula One guy. I don't know how many big Formula One people there are in Tucson necessarily.
Well, no, not in Tucson, but worldwide. I think
worldwide for sure. I mean,
yeah.
Imagine that, or a soccer play. Soccer play in Europe. Who's a star.
I don't think we talked about this the other day. I don't think Kelsey looked great the other night.
Yeah, you mentioned you thought he looked a step slow. I don't know.
I thought he was a little bit. Obviously, he took himself out. He was gassed.
Yeah. Well, remember he missed a game too.
Yeah.
He missed his first game of the year. That kind of stuff can linger a little bit. So that perhaps that was a problem. Patrick Mahomes just looked a little off too.
Well, but you knew. I texted somebody. I said, "Don't worry. He's gonna." Great players find a way,
and they did.
He was going to find a way.
And by the way, for my fantasy team, it would have been nice if he just ran it into the end zone, and I wouldn't have lost this week. But that's another story.
I believe that affected the point spread, or no?
It did. They would have covered the point spread easily. It would have been 10, and this point spread was about 8.5. So not that I do not bet. So I only know that because I saw people posting on social media how mad they were for the point spread, and then there was a lot of us that were mad because of fantasy football and. Won in one game in one of my leagues and lost in another. But absolutely, there's two things people don't care about, Jason: your fantasy football team and your golf game. So sorry, I didn't mean to bring it up.
That's all right. You can bring it up as much as you want, especially at the end of the show.
Okay.
Okay. For Pat Paris, I'm Jason Barr. It's been the Huddle, KGUN 9 streaming platform. On our streaming platforms, it's our sports talk show, and we'll be back here next Tuesday, same time. Take care, everybody.